minutes opening the meeting of May 6th, 2019. First order of business is pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So we had our non-public meeting at 8:30. Came out of that. And the first order of business is public input. You're up.
They didn't want to
Can you
be
speak?
first if somebody else wanted to be first.
We're not public.
They're not public.
Is that the hot seat?
You can.
Okay.
Just let us know your name and
Okay. My name is Joe. Last name is Haas, H-A-A-S. And I went to your website last night. I live in Gilmanton. And I'm here on the Wednesday meeting that they have in Wolfboro.
okay.
Did you get the email? Because what I did, I sent it through that portal.
The contact me,
Yeah.
and it was a very long email.
Oh yeah, very long, yeah.
I
That's
opened
why
it
I'm
this
here.
morning and I didn't understand it,
Is this
so
on-
I did
is this
print
on
it
the
again.
education
Oh yeah, that's
committee?
good. Yeah, that's Tobin Valinsky.
Right.
Information session. I've been to the one in Concord, and I didn't participate there. Oh yeah, I did participate there, and then I went to the one in Rochester,
Mhm.
and I just listened, because the candidates, the Democratic candidates were there. They lost the election, but they attended. And what I'm getting at is, you're number 5 on the list on the towns that, there's 6 of you in the school district.
Yeah.
So I put you down as number 5. But
We think of ourselves as number 2, but that's okay.
Some of us think of
Well,
ourselves as number one.
We should.
I don't know why I picked that order, I don't know. But anyways, I own some property in Gilmanton, and I don't like paying taxes. I mean, I like paying taxes for the services that are provided, but not the school, because I have no children in the school system. But I'm not, the way it's set up is wrong. So Valinsky and Tobin will tell you the operating costs are supposed to be paid for at the state level, ever since the Claremont case. You're familiar with that, right? And the latest chapter of Claremont is the Londonderry case of 2006. And I provide a link on the email. You can click it, and the bottom line is pages 8 and 9 of 19 is where you read it, the bottom line of that. And it says, when the adequacy amount has been determined, there's supposed to be no more local tax. And the adequacy amount, that's where we get into some details, is 36.06, almost $4,000. But, and I'll give you a copy of what, yeah, I'll give you one of these printouts. I went to all the Chapter 190 of 2017 Study Committee on Education Funding last year. And that's one of the participants, members, his name is Ken Weiler, and he's on the, I don't know if you've ever seen him before. You've probably seen his co-worker there. Karen Umberger?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's up in North Conway.
Conway.
And what Ken did, he asked the LBA, Legislative Budget Assistant, I think it is, yeah, up in the upper left there, what the charter schools are getting. Because the 36.06, you add on the special education and transportation, brings it up to 5,600. So the charter schools are saying, well, we can't even provide a state standards with that, we need another $1,000. So it's up to 6,600. And if they can get the job done for 6,600, why are we spending teens of thousands of dollars in the government schools? So the 3 different legislators put in 3 different bills. 2 of them are sitting in House Finance, 1 is sitting in House Education, and they want to go up on the SWEP, statewide education property tax, from $2 per per thousand brings in, I think it's, oh, no, let me back up. They want to go up on the adequacy amount from 4,000 to 10, almost 10,000, $9,929 to be exact. But how it's going to be raised, I don't know if it's going to be through SWEPT, or my idea is, since nobody's supposed to be paying these property taxes at the local level for education, that's residential and business, then when that happens, then you just go up on the business tax to cover it. So if another town over has a business, they pay that tax to the state, then it's distributed to the poorer towns. That's the solution.
Okay, so you're suggesting that we go to this meeting on Wednesday, or?
Oh, yes, and the reason for that is because you have the power under RSA 76:11-A, it's all in the email. RSA 76:11-A, Roman numeral 1 and 3, is you have the power to put an information statement into the tax bills. And they get sent out twice a year, I guess, in this town, right? In November and May. So later this month, I presume, is when they go out. And what I would thought you could do is just put in there, a statement saying, we attended this meeting, we understand that the tax situation has to be dealt with, and we will welcome any and all abatement applications, which is already in the statute. But you would back it up by saying we would encourage not just overappraised value or inability to pay based on poverty, but the third condition is with Peter Laughlin, who wrote the book on municipal law. He's an attorney over in Portsmouth. He says you can argue illegality in the abatement process. So there's constitutional issues and there's legal issues. And the legal issue is RSA 80:4 that says the tax collector is to issue tax bills. And a friend of mine who's a state rep, he says, well, what is a bill? A bill is a written statement or invoice for goods or services received. So if you have no children in the school system, you shouldn't be getting that bill. So that's the illegality of it.
Well, we could go on for months on this discussion.
Yeah.
I think we'll go to the meeting. I fundamentally disagree with your notion that you don't have any benefit from education, but I'm not going to get into that discussion.
Oh, I do. I mean, of course, you're training the workforce
An
to
educated
get
work-
into the businesses to
Right.
provide the services for you. Then if you want to buy that service, then you buy it at that time. That's the way I feel it.
Well, and you're
No.
certainly welcome to your feelings.
Oh, yeah. And what I didn't put in the email was what I told you on the Ken Weiler thing. And one more thing too is the average property tax for a house in New Hampshire is $5,000. So with the 3/4 of it going to the local school, then it would come down to $1,250, and anybody can afford $100 a month. And that's the bottom line. Wouldn't you like to pay only $100 a month?
Well, you're
The
going to,
money comes from someplace,
yeah, you're
though,
going to be
so,
paying a lot.
Oh, yeah, but it would be the business tax.
Right.
yeah, so, and
so
who
your
pays the
assump-
business tax?
Your assumption
You
is
and
that-
I do.
Oh, yeah,
Your
but that's the
assumption is
legal way
the
to pay
business
for it.
is going to pay that tax.
Huh?
Obviously, you've never been in business. The business isn't going to pay that tax.
Oh, yeah, of course, they
You're
pass it
gonna
on
pay-
to the consumer.
Right, so the
Yeah.
consumer's still going to pay the same amount of money. They're just
But it's gonna be done lawfully and legally.
Well, they're going to pay it in smaller increments, and I certainly haven't read any Supreme Court cases, and I read every single one that comes down that addresses the situation the way.
Oh, yeah, they're always telling the legislature to get your act together and do something, and they do put bills in there, but then they never get anywhere,
Well,
you know? I mean,
elections.
some of them
come
do,
out.
but some of them don't.
All right, anything else?
Oh, no, that's it, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Approval of minutes. So the minutes of Monday, April 29th, 8:30 a.m., public minutes.
How about the 22nd? Let's go with the 22nd.
The 29th.
Yeah, well, both.
Would you like?
Okay.
I have nothing on April 22nd.
Sorry, you want to do the 22nd first? All right.
Yeah.
Public minutes from Monday, April 22nd.
I have nothing.
I'll move approval as presented in the revised draft.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. can we do the 29th?
There's two April 22nd non-publics.
Non-public, April 22nd at 8:37. I'll move that we approve these minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And these are sealed for the time being?
And I think they should remain sealed, yes.
Okay. Non-public, April 22nd, 8:43.
I'll move approval.
I'll second. All those, hold on. Well, all those in favor?
Aye.
This really falls under legal, so, but this is also sealed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it need to stay sealed?
Yeah.
Yes.
And public meeting Monday, April 29th. A brief meeting. I'll make a motion to approve these minutes.
Second.
Randall,
I'm also.
still looking.
Still looking for him.
He's not-
I got another copy.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's good.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. That's all the minutes I have.
Okay, then there's the April 29th now.
I thought we just did, oh, no.
27.
Non-public, April 29th, 8:27. I'll move approval of these minutes.
Second.
Do you have those?
Somewhere, I'm sure. Yeah. That's good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And these just say sealed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through the minutes that are sealed. I've gone through it, you've started to go through it, those going to go through it, so hopefully in the next week or two, we'll get those, what can be unsealed, unsealed. First appointment's Jack Parsons, where is that boy? There he is.
Hello again.
Hello. 22 new building permits, 4 new homes. I've done 137 inspections. I met with the adjuster from Primex down on Wharf Road, who was, looked at everything that was there.
And what are they thinking?
Things will be covered, I'm sure the town is a deductible, so, and I'm still waiting for a permit, so to put the ice clusters back in. And the lake is so high that you can't even look under it to see what's damaged underneath, so I told him that, and he's fine with that, so he's just waiting to hear from us.
Now, that's permit by notification, all right?
It'll be
On
an
repair.
expedited permit, so
Right.
yeah, and Shane's doing the paperwork, and
Okay.
$1,000 for the permit, and the fee to go to the state and all that. So-
Is there any estimate on damage?
No, because we can't look under it yet, and the water's level with the top of it, so you can't even
Yeah.
see. It doesn't make sense to get a guy to go look at the estimates.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not gonna fall down right now, so. That's that.
Any other issues? Concerns?
Nope, just the pellet boiler at the townhouse, we gotta do some stuff to that. Way back when it was installed by the company that installed it, they were doing right, so it's all catching up now, so. Might be spent a little more there on the pellet boiler, so.
Is that in our budget currently, or we're gonna have to?
No, but we have some maintenance money up there and stuff, so we should be able to do some of that.
Speaking of furnaces, are you working with Clay on,
Yeah, I've already talked to Ed, and he's come back with a different price, just to get rid of some of the controls that are there to make it a little bit
more
more
efficient?
user-friendly and less complicated, and maybe do it a little bit different way with the radiant heat in the floor, and then maybe putting something else out there, like a high-temperature modine blower heater that'll come on when the doors are open, so it catches up really fast. So could be the same amount of money, but it'll be a more efficient unit.
How old is that unit? 35 to 40 years old?
I don't think it's that old.
Building was built, what, 20 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, so when the building was built
Okay.
in
But
The problem with
it's
the boiler,
original one,
it's-
right?
the problem with the boiler there, it doesn't fire hot enough, so it doesn't clean itself out. Like, as it regulates down, so it doesn't heat up to its full extent. So it clogs itself up. Right, so what they really need to do is have the boiler run at full temperature and then temper the water down for the radiant, and then the high temperature water will go to a unit that hangs in the corner and blows heat across the room, which will catch up much faster.
And the doors, the overhead doors that we've got up there, those are insulated.
They're insulated, but they're huge, and you open one up, you might as well just open the wall up and temper it, so. And the catch up on the radiant isn't fast.
I
And
find
that
it's
stays-
really fast.
Yeah, you only have room, you don't have that huge space.
Well, I mean, at the shops,
Yeah,
down at Abby's.
yeah,
You open the overhead door and close it. It's-
right, but it's not
It's not
that
as
big.
big.
It's not,
Well, yeah,
it's not as
part of
windy
it
there
is-
and all that, so.
Part of it is a low fire furnace setting.
Right.
Right.
Well, there's
There's
only so much of a temperature you can put in a slab. You can't really go over 80 degrees, it'll ruin the concrete. So.
Right. So,
But putting something else in there would catch up much faster.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Okay. I'm gonna wait on the next one. We go directly to Steve Wingate and Laurel Podson. The Earth Day Bird Project.
Hi there.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Laurel Podson.
Chip.
Hi.
Hi.
I
am Bill. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Hi. I am a new member of the
Reach here up there, buddy.
Tufton Borough Conservation Commission. And I'm here today to ask for permission to hang some bird boxes around Tufton Borough. On April 18th, I presented at the central school for the Earth Day Assembly and did an activity with the kids, the whole school, on birds in Tufton Borough and bird habitats, and kind of seeing what they knew, but also teaching them about the habitats we have around here for birds, specifically the American robin and the eastern bluebird. And also just talking to them about how they can have an impact on wildlife in our town and what things that they can do. And so we started with birds. And then I had a big map and they got to kind of choose, I kind of delineated different habitats for these birds on a map, and they were able to choose ideas and locations that they wanted to hang bird boxes. So I'm here today with a list of the places, and these are the town-owned places. And my idea, my hopes was that they were in places where kids don't have to ask for access to go. They can just, their parents can drive up, they can, easy access to look and give them a chance to maybe observe bird behavior. Hopefully the birds utilize these boxes, whether it's bluebird or sparrow or swallow. It'll give them a chance to kind of take ownership and understand that they have an impact, but also be able to observe these birds, hopefully over time.
Sounds great.
So today, as of this morning, all these places, I've received permission from kind of the managers of these places. So I don't know, would you like me to go through the list, each one of these places? Or
Sure, how long a list is it?
It's not very long.
Let's go through it.
Okay. So the Great Meadow, there'll be 2 eastern bluebird boxes, and the fire station. And I just wanted to also note is that none of the bird boxes will actually be on the buildings, so none will be screwed into buildings. They'll either be on a metal post or on a tree. So on the fire station, or at the fire station, there'll be 2 bluebird boxes on the edge of the field and a robin box in the forest area. And I've talked to Julie Lassard about that, and she was excited. And then this morning I just talked to Clay about the transfer station and some possible places there for a couple bluebird boxes.
my only concern,
Yeah.
and now that I think about it, if the
Yeah.
kids get out of the car and go, if you do it on the access road,
Mhm.
it comes down, so it's available at all hours. That hill goes up, there is a big sand pit,
Okay.
so kids get out and go running after a bird. That would be my only caution.
Yeah.
Um,
Can't afford to lose any kids.
Right,
We don't have enough.
That's right.
No.
that would be my only caution.
Will you be with the families or Kathleen?
No, this is kind of on their own time. If we schedule, you know, with the kids, if we can schedule field trips or outings to do it, we will be with them. But the hope is too that they can just go
Right.
on their own time with their families as well. They don't need us to go with them.
But that's just a view, right? You're gonna put the boxes up?
Yes, I'm gonna put them up.
So this is just if somebody wants to go look at the birds.
Right.
Right,
Yeah, so I'll take that into consideration.
yeah, there is a pretty steep drop
Okay,
to that sand pit.
Yeah.
It's not too far from
right.
the road, so.
I'll look at that before hanging any boxes.
You'll work with it on location?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so then the central school on the edge of the field, and then the Robin boxes. 2 will be in the future because the library will be under construction. We'll put one following all of the construction. And same with at 19 Mile Bay at the beach. It'll be the same work this spring, so we'll wait till that's finished.
Actually, I think that work may not happen until after the season.
Okay.
So,
In the fall.
yeah, so
Okay,
probably fine to go ahead and put it up.
okay.
It's as high as the water is now. What I'm hearing is that it would be problematic to try and put that wall in and do the rain gardens and that sort of thing with the lake level as high as it is. So,
Okay, thank you. Then the Grange Hall and the Townhouse are the 2 other.
well, the Grange Hall isn't ours.
I talked to Joy Perkins.
Right, so
and
that's
she talked
theirs.
to- Okay,
Yeah. Townhouse is ours though.
okay.
And we've also got the Cops Pond viewing station. You should probably take a look at that.
Okay, yeah.
'Cause it's a wild area. I think
Yeah.
it's in conservation now, isn't it?
It's, no.
It isn't? Oh, it's Bill Williams?
I think the commission might have been part of putting up that observation. It's belonged to the town, but it's not conserved.
Okay.
It's just, it's a pretty small piece.
Right.
There's some other town ownerships on the other side, which would be near the Chandler easement. Those would be, that would be a good place. It's a little more remote than.
But easier to get to than the Great Meadow places. I mean, where's your access gonna be at the Great Meadow?
Well, we're gonna build a trail eventually.
But what's Laurel gonna do in the meantime?
Well, we may wait for the trail. Yeah, right now, that's probably the plan, is to wait until.
This isn't just a one-year program, right?
Right.
If you keep coming back, it's just right up birds in my place. Just keep
And
coming
somehow
back.
they come back.
Yeah. Sounds good. What do you guys think?
Excellent.
Yep. Great.
Yeah, more
Thank you.
programs.
Thank you.
If there's a member of the public that'd be interested in a box, can we either accommodate them or put them on to whoever made them?
Steve and some members of the Ag Commission made the boxes,
Really?
so I can
Andy, aren't they?
Yep.
consult them and.
And the Air Commission is gonna put some around their own boxes around the town garden, and they're asking cemetery committee if they can put some on the cemetery, edge of the cemetery.
And there are plenty of those out there. That whole big cemeteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, any activity that's gonna integrate the kids into this conservation, we're gonna,
Right.
will receive by me at least.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Well,
We hope for more.
Great, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Good to see you.
Thanks.
involvement.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Happy
Thank you.
summer.
Thank you. Do you want this or this?
Sure, thanks.
We're gonna talk about the 2 lot shop to acquire.
Right, we need to,
Are they all made out of pine?
So
Yeah.
it's on the 15th.
Yeah.
Vote it on the
I'm just
agenda.
curious.
Yeah,
They like mine, huh? Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, well, we have Mr. Wingate still here. I'd like to entertain a motion. Have we read the,
Yes.
okay, then I'll move that we vote to approve the public notices for the granting of the easement to the Lakes Region Conservation Trust for property located in the Great Meadow. This is going to require a meeting with the planning board. The public hearing for with the Conservation Commission will be on 5/2. I guess you already had it. And the planning board will also be reviewing this topic.
That happened on Thursday.
Okay, that happened. After recommendations received from both boards, which we have, 2 public hearings need to be held by the selectmen followed by a vote of the selectmen 7 to 14 days after the second hearing. So this vote,
So we actually have two different things going on.
right,
We have the acquisition that you had a hearing for, okay?
Yeah.
And that we need to
vote to
to approve.
Right.
And then we have the easement, which is a sale, if you will, which is why it has to have the 2 public hearings
Right.
and then our vote after that.
I may not have, I sent you the draft.
Right.
Yeah.
We just got that this morning.
Yeah.
Does,
But
does,
I have reviewed it, and everything I have said is actually true. It's the same easement we used for the town land in 2011,
mhm.
and it, with the exception of a little different legalese, some updated legalese. That has to do with things.
Some changes in case law, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a paragraph guaranteeing public access that has to be in there because of the grants. And then there is a new forest management section, which is pretty large, that replaces a more simplified version we had, which just talks about, all the different good practices you should observe if you're going to do forest management. Otherwise, it's the same thing.
So how does this allow us to deal with invasives in the property? Is there a,
There is a no pesticide use clause in there, and the exception is if the grantee, that is Lakes Region Conservation,
If they
if
approve
they
it.
agree, then you can use, and a herbicide would fall into that category. It's really designed for like a big broadcast application versus a small hand application.
It's no Agent Orange.
And we do have the exception in there to install wells and extract water if we want to from the aquifer. So I think everything is there, but I can come to any of those hearings and answer questions.
Right. All right, well, I'm gonna make a motion that we post the notices for public hearing to happen May 20th, 2019 at 9 a.m. at the town offices, and June 3rd, 2019 at 9 a.m. at the town offices here.
I'll second. Are those dates appropriate for you?
That's what I was gonna add, so,
so we now have the final draft of the easement, right?
Yeah.
That's what you sent us this morning.
Right.
So,
before those public hearings can happen, an opinion has to be given by both the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board. And my understanding is an opinion wasn't given last Thursday, which would bump us.
didn't have the, well, okay.
Have the easement.
So Conservation Commission, I'm sorry, Planning Board's meeting on the 16th.
Yep, so we can just, if it's all right with you, I'll look at the calendar and bump the dates appropriately.
Don't need to. This is on the 20th.
Right,
The Planning Board's meeting on the 16th.
Oh,
should be able to happen.
I understand, okay. Yeah,
I registered 2 comments from the planning board that is going to go in our minutes.
Mhm.
to that effect.
Is that a sentence?
Hmm?
What did he say? What did you say?
You registered 2 comments from the planning board
Yeah,
that you're gonna put in your minutes.
that's,
Right.
that was my interpretation from the conversation is where
Okay.
the initial comment was about whether the money to purchase the land was, could be better used to do water quality projects around town. And I think that was mitigated by the point that it wasn't our money, it's grant money that's purchasing the property. And that comment seemed to go away at that point. And then the other one was that we should get a legal opinion on the easement, as sometimes there are surprises. So I noted that.
Well, the grant was written for the purpose of getting this property.
Right.
Right.
So it isn't like you can use the money for
So-
something else.
That discussion stopped
So,
when I
you know,
said that.
philosophically, whether the money could be spent differently to have a different impact is a moot point here, because
Right.
the money is
Yeah.
only available to us to do this specific type of acquisition, so.
And the money fully pays for the cost of the purchase, plus some of our costs to manage the sale.
All right, I think I made a motion.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And is there a second motion that's needed to spend the money?
And it's not to
No,
expend the
it's
money
to approve the purchase.
to approve the
Here,
purchase.
the first 2 sentences of that.
All right, so then the next motion is for the Board of Selectmen to move to approve the Conservation Commission purchasing these properties on behalf of the town
So,
and appointing 1 selectman to sign the deeds.
so moved.
I'll second. All those in favor, I have to keep asking that, don't I? All those in favor?
Aye.
And who will that selectman be to sign the deed?
Chairman.
Yeah, I think
Yep,
the chairman
okay.
ought to sign it.
All right, and the other topic for Steve is the 19 Mile Brook environmental baseline remeasure proposal and field studies.
Those are in the purple folder.
All right. The last time I was at the Board of Select, I'm speaking for Mr. Chairman Wingate, at the Board of Selectmen, I asked if they had planned to supervise the 19 Mile Brook remeasure. I suggested that as before the TCC could do that. Asked me to submit a proposal. We now have a proposal before us. Did anybody look at it?
I glanced at it.
Okay.
I looked at it, I'm all set.
And this mirrors what you did before. Is that?
I think what
Or
we
captures what you did
did
before.
before, basically the commission did everything.
Okay.
I'm saying in this one that we would act in your behalf to review for quality and completeness, and to be a contact point between the town and Normandy.
For the technical stuff.
Yeah. Mostly so that we understand what's going on and can answer questions in the future. And that's basically what we did last time. We witnessed some of the work being done, we asked questions, so we actually understood the science involved. And we could do the same thing this time, and then when we get results, there'll be questions. And I think the initial opportunity will be to ask Normandy, who are a lot smarter than we are. But going down the road after that, you'd have to pay them to bring them back to ask more questions.
Well, I think we're gonna inevitably have to pay them over and over again anyway, but I think having some sort of knowledgeable eyes on the ground is
Yep.
good to have. Who were you suggesting as a contact person?
I'm suggesting Larry Gill,
Right?
who has more expertise than anybody else on the commission. in this area and that I be the backup. And one of the things we're already involved in is getting access through the gate.
I saw the emails on that, yeah, so that you
Was it
can,
locked?
it is locked.
It sounds like it. I haven't been to look.
And,
Yeah.
and what Ford has suggested is you need to contact the Witten Trust, right, to get their
I
permission.
don't think we need to do that.
Yeah,
I think Dave's being a little sensitive because of our recent
He's
past.
gonna get more sensitive as days go by. So, I'm gonna make a motion that we accept this, proposal by the Tufton Borough Conservation Commission.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So if you could, I kind of penciled in some names, but if you could fill it out,
I'll fill it out and then
get it back to Karen.
Karen can distribute it to Normandy and back to us.
Right, get some files going. Perfect. Okay.
Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Happy spring.
Wait.
There would be one more thing, I think that's.
Still a little warm.
All right, younger than me.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
I think we're all set. Thank you.
Great. Our next appointment is with Clay Gallagher. Come on down.
Last man standing.
You got it. Yeah, we don't need to get a reporter anymore. So
Yeah, we'll-
somebody finally figured out that
We're a small town.
watching paint dry is not that stimulating.
The single page is just an itinerary for the meeting. The stapled pages are the specific movements for April on the page, and the second page is the monthly totals year-to-date versus 2018 to 2019, and the last two columns. What is interesting to note on the second page
Excuse me.
with year-to-date totals is that basically plastic commingle, third item down, is about the same. The C&D is ended up about the same, pretty close to being exactly the same. And solid waste is up 7 containers. We're not getting the density as much as we had before because the machines are older and they need to be more, the annual servicing done on them. But the main difference is attributable to the mixed paper, which instead of going into bales and shipped out on trucks, it is now going into
We're actually into the solid waste. Yep.
They were
that is,
53 tons off.
pardon?
They were 53 tons lighter.
No, that doesn't have April because I don't have the tonnage yet.
No, but if you look at previous balance,
That's May, March,
okay, 26
208.
containers.
right. And now we have 35.
Right, but skip the 35. Last year,
We had
28 containers.
through the end of
out
April.
265 tons. Now we got 26 containers that are only
No, we have 35 containers.
That previous balance is as of the month prior.
Listen to me. Okay.
Okay.
It took 26 containers to haul 208 tons.
Okay.
If you go to the last line, it's 28 containers to haul 265 tons.
Correct.
So your tonnage is dropping per container.
Right. That's what I understand. Because the servicing on the machines, and
Do they need to be-
sometimes the stuff that's put in there weighs a lot more, and sometimes it doesn't. And we may just be going through a little bit of
Sometimes it may be bulkier and not.
Exactly.
Sure.
And a lot of times, you know, even though this is the same time frame, the weather conditions have been extremely different. So, but I'm saying primarily the weight difference is due to the mixed paper. And maybe some items that may have gone into the swap shop are now going into the
And,
compactor.
and the compactor machinery itself has all been
Yes.
serviced?
No, it was serviced last year. We're gonna get it serviced again this year. I'm gonna probably do it around midsummer to get it serviced. I think you'll see that tonnage come back more in line as we go along. But it's still gonna be more in solid waste because the mixed paper is going in there. You know, we shipped out about 70 tons of mixed paper, 75 tons, 80 tons of mixed paper a year. So that 80 tons has now gotta go into the compactor, so that is gonna be.
Any
And nothing on the
rumors out
horizon.
there on,
The Chinese have bought a couple of paper mills in New England. Whether or not they go back to taking mixed paper for those, there's a couple different formats that they can utilize. If I was a betting person, I would say probably we would, at some point in time, be able to separate out maybe newsprint, or be more specific rather than total mixed paper. Because mixed paper, they're gonna have the same problem with contamination in the mixed paper. I think if they get up and running and things get going, we'll probably be able to do mixed paper and phone books or something like that.
Newsprint.
Newsprint.
Yeah.
But I don't see that near horizon. I think for this summer, we're set as a candidate. We had nine solid waste containers, 13 C&D containers, 2 plastic containers. We shipped out two loads in one shipment of scrap metal, which I just got the numbers, was 14.64 tons. That'll be a revenue of about $952, $65 a ton. Revenues through April are $28,562 versus the same time last year it was $18,056. So on the third line there with the revenues, we're about, and we also have right now we have around $2,000 in collectibles. So we're about $12,000 over where we were last year at the same time. Now, part of that's made up by stickers. Sticker year, we're about $5,000 that we've collected. So we are about $7,000 in revenue over where we were last year. That primarily comes from 2 reasons. More accurate pricing in the last 6-7 months. We've been virtually spot on our cost per CD versus what we're collecting per CD. So that makes up a big difference. The other difference is stuff's not going in.
And you're doing it without scales.
And we're doing it without scales, and we're doing it without stuff going from the swap shop into the construction.
but that doesn't affect the revenue side anyway, right?
No, it gives us a revenue shortage.
It affects the cost side, but it doesn't have any impact on the money
Right.
you're taking in.
Correct.
So that's all in.
Unless it's illegal items that would have cost money to get rid of to begin with, and we're not getting them.
Right,
That was the effect.
right. But the $7,000 difference from last year, that's not the stickers, is revenue that you've taken in from people that are paying you to put C&D or other items in.
Correct.
And,
Correct. A better representation, since we fixed the pricing issue for the large trailer contractors. That's primarily what's done. And that's without having to do the scales. So. General info items number 2, additional commodities ready to move. We're gonna, we've only really had one movement out so far that's been of any expense, and that was cardboard bales we shipped out. We got revenue for that. And we just had the 2 major scrap metal pickups. And we had 1 glass shipment out. But we're gonna start ramping up here. We need to swap out a TV container. A tire container is basically full. Aluminum bales, I'm marketing them right now with lead acid batteries. And I'm going to metal yards and also down to NRA. And fluorescent bulbs. We just got a boatload of bulbs in. And I'm gonna have to get them shipped out pretty quick. For general info items, new stickers are out. They're orange in color. They're at the town offices here and also up at the station. Drug Take Back Day was last Saturday, the 27th of April, at the transfer station. Approximately 30 or so individuals used it, a fairly good amount, and they got rid of their meds correctly and safely. Annual training classes are in session, and they're ramping up LRPC, DES, NRA, Primex, and CPR classes. The NRA conference is Monday, 20 May. You get 4 hours of credit for that, and there's 3 of us that are going to go to that.
And where is that located?
That's in Manchester. That's at the hotel there. They changed hands.
It's a double tree or something.
Double tree or
Yeah,
something.
it's
the one right by the stadium. Granite Street exit up there with the parking garage. Small portion of the recycling building roof peeled up. It was a little edge about 1.5 feet wide on the southwest corner closest to the metal pile. That peeled up with the high winds, and it's in the process of getting fixed. Hopefully it will be fixed by next weekend. No, he hasn't, no. Still gotta get the price of the sheet that he's gonna bring in, so. I'm working now to, as it's drying out a little bit, to get the prisoner cleanup day, because this winter was disastrous with them. I mean, that tree line is covered, so I'm going to schedule that as soon as we can when it's dry enough so that we can get out there and do it. And I think this is a copy of the report that I turned in about the waste management driver that got hurt up there. I did a incident injury report, okay, just to back us up and give Primex information. Again, we were very fortunate that he was a fairly new driver, been on the job 3 months or so, and it was drizzling a little bit, it was wet, and he didn't have this truck lined up with the trailer that he was trying to put on. I had attached a couple pictures, hopefully you saw them. But the trailer has a long arm that goes in with a ring on it that hooks over the wall.
Yeah.
And if it's not exactly lined up, they hang off the side of the container that's on the main truck itself, and then they push on the arm to get it to go left or right to line up so it comes down. And he was pushing, and his foot slipped off of the tow arm, and he caught his upper shin on his right leg with a jagged piece of metal, and just tore pretty good. So he came up, we had the first aid kit, got some gauze out, and had him sit down and elevate his leg and wrap some gauze around it, and put a towel over it, and got it dialed 911. They responded 5 to 8 minutes. 2 ambulances, everything was super, and they did a great job. took him to Huggins and got him stitched up. I think he's back in work already, so. I called the dispatcher down there and scheduled follow-on. So I gave my name and number. I gave the driver my name and number if he needed anything while he was down at Huggins. Everything turned out pretty well. We got the rest of the schedule done that day with Waste Management. They sent another driver up and got all the stuff done. Again, it was nothing on our end of the spectrum, but it's good to have that report in and the pictures in the Primex. So,
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment on this subject? First of all, this information is confidential. He's been careful for HIPAA not to give out the name and stuff like that. But there's another thing here that I want to publicly comment on and pay you compliments. It took you a year to get that phone system so you could report emergencies.
Right.
Thank you. You've brought an OSHA safety consciousness to that plan and what you've done with ice areas, stairs, you've used the paint that grips and whatnot. The other thing is that's a social place, but it's also a hybrid. It's an industrial site. And you worked very hard with your guys who are equipment operators, and your number 2 guy has trained other people. For example, when you're moving bales, and
right.
people are on site, it takes 3 guys to move, one to work the bale, one to run the tractor, one to keep the kids away. So that's an attaboy. Thank you.
good transition, because that's the second message that I sent out had to do with my overall thoughts. We've had, in the time I've been there, and it's been in the last 9 years or so, I've come up on 9 years. In the last year, we've had basically 2 people get injured. Neither one were cases where we were negligent or our fault.
Point of order, would you read this into the record, please, if it's okay with the chairman?
Sure.
To Board of Selectmen report input, just wanted to pass along my thoughts after the recent incident injury that occurred yesterday at the transfer station. We had 2 individuals injured at the transfer station since the start of 2019. One was a local resident, broke her ankle falling near the metal pile, and the other was a waste management driver that injured his leg working on his truck and trailer. Fortunately, neither case was the fault or cause of the transfer station personnel, equipment, or due to negligence. However, these incidents are a solid reminder to us as employees and to the general public that the transfer station is an industrial site with numerous heavy machines and vehicles, and at sporadic times can be a very busy environment. We have been fortunate that we have exercised a unique balance between the public's movements in a comfortable environment and our machine and heavy vehicle operations. Areas are coned off to the public when necessary. We use spotters. We also use spotters for safety when operating our heavy vehicles in public areas. These incidents do highlight that safety should always be our first concern, and that the public should always be aware that this is an industrial site and not a place to socialize around or near work areas, especially when we're crowded during the busy summer months. We try, if people are going to talk, we try to get them to go off to the side in a non-traffic area and have their conversations there. In the summertime especially, it'll get 4 or 5 lanes deep right out in front of the building, and 2 people are standing out there talking for 45 minutes. It really clogs things up. So, and just in general, it's for the public and for us as employees. Anytime the Bobcat or the backhoe or any one of our pieces of equipment are operating, just be aware and yield to the piece of equipment, because it's very hard to see out of that Bobcat sometimes, and that's why we tend to use spotters too. So that's next door to me. agenda.
So you think there's additional signage?
Yeah, I'm looking into, I got on a website yesterday where we can make our own signs. You can make your plastic laminated signs that are yellow with hash marks around it. And I'm working on the right verbiage, you know, industrial site, be aware, be safe, safety first, those kind of things, where we can post them in conspicuous places around the facility, so that it just reminds people to be aware.
On the issue of signs, I have a couple of comments.
Okay.
Not to interrupt you, but yes, I am. I know that you had some logs that were deposited there.
Right, we have them up, we're waiting for the individual to come and pick them up.
Okay.
And,
I didn't realize it, but I've had citizens who aren't aware that there's a fee for brush. Could I suggest that NRA, or you've mentioned
Right.
signs?
We had a sign up, you know where the boulder is, right at the top as you come in, where the road splits, and there's a boulder, but the wind has broken the sign in half, so I see a tenant before dumping brush.
And also that there is a fee for brush, and
Right. No fee for leaves and grass, there's a fee for brush.
that's right. And, you know, if the people would check with you,
Right, they come down first and,
Yeah.
yeah. Most of them do, there are a few that just zip up there. And a lot of times you know, it's guys that are dumping leaves and grass. So, very few. Most people that dump brush up there know it, but we'll get us.
thank you for allowing me to interrupt you.
And the last area, you wanted to talk about the fees.
Yeah, I have the
Here's
fee schedule.
Here's the old one.
Yep.
Now, the last time, and to couple this, there's been a couple questions about the validity of our transfer station sticker. I have talked with the chief of police. It's very valid. We had the meeting in 2012 over a period of 2 or 3 sessions. One of which was up at the town hall that I remember vividly, about the transfer station sticker. The validity that to use that facility, you have to have the transfer station sticker. And it certifies that you're a Tufton Borough resident and authorized to use the facility. And the validity of it, it can be enforced, and the chief of police has no problems with enforcing that.
So I guess as a relatively long-term resident, one of the questions that I have is, initially when we went to a sticker system, the fee was $1 or $2, whatever it was to cover the cost of the stickers. Now and I don't know what the stickers cost.
It's around $3 a piece
Okay.
or so.
So it's still a revenue producer, so we need to maybe think about that. I mean, it is what it is now, but and to follow on that, all of these fees generate revenue that offset expenses.
Correct.
So if we're not gonna charge, then we need to adjust the transfer station budget to accommodate for the costs.
Right.
And that was the discussion we had the other day about the stuff coming out of the swap shop. It's the same thing with stickers. I mean, if we've got, I don't know, $7,000 worth of revenue from stickers that isn't directly related to the cost of the sticker, and we don't want to do that anymore, and we need to take care of that $7,000 in the budget somewhere. So if we want to make any adjustments, I guess to shorten it up a little bit, if we're going to adjust any of this, it's going to be next year, because we don't have the accommodation in the budget to adjust any of it now. So if we want to eliminate, for instance, brush, then we need to do it in the budget process, not, in this ad hoc.
Right. Yeah, we've got everything pretty much almost as efficient as we can get it, and almost as cost relevant as we can get it, or the things that have additional cost, like when you talk about stickers, is who issues a sticker? What portion of that labor is a cost to issue that sticker? Trust me, I'd love to not have to do stickers.
Yeah.
You know, that is an immense undertaking, and it's time consuming, and you have to handle money, which, you know, and then you have to explain where the sticker goes, and, you know, some people put it on right, some people don't want to put it on. It's an argument about where it goes on the car, it's an argument about putting it on, and then it's an argument about having the sticker, not having the sticker. But at the end of the day, the last area that we needed to fix, we fixed, and that was the construction debris cost. Everything else is pretty much relevant to the cost of that item as to the fees that we charge. The last time we had a meeting, and to transfer from the stickers, because that's not the reason for the, is the transfer station fees. The last time we had a meeting on the fees, or changed any fees at all, it was the price of the sticker from $4 to $5, and that was 2012.
Change it to 2 years.
No, it was always 2 years. We changed it from $4 to $5, and each sticker would be $5 because of the misuse.
But
of
it
it.
hasn't changed since 2012.
But it hasn't changed since 2012, and that was in,
So they slept on the right side.
right.
So your revenue was about $120,000 last year.
With avoided cost added in, it was around, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, I think it was around 80,000 in cash, and the rest was avoided costs. And so it worked up to about 120.
Right.
We're
So-
gonna exceed that this year, we'll probably be about 140 to 150 if we sell the aluminum cans.
So, just for public information, we could eliminate all fees for stickers and all of the stuff that goes to the transfer station. It would require about a 25% increase in the
Budget.
budget.
Right.
So,
For the record, RSA 41:9-a establishment of fees. And that's what we went through. I'll leave this for the record.
okay.
On stickers, in May, your individuals are going to be, before a guy dumps, just walking down and get the sticker on the car.
Right, we're gonna, yeah, and we talked about, and it was approved at the last meeting, was to not allow individuals to dump until they went down and got their sticker off.
Remember I commented at another meeting when you and I were in Durham?
Right,
They made it was on the weekend, and they made the person go to the town hall during the week.
right.
And, I mean, they were pleasant about it,
You know,
but
there has to be,
I'm the happy medium.
we're not gonna run a police state.
Right,
I
Exactly.
mean, for instance,
that's the whole thing. You
my
wanna
truck
stay the
broke
friendly person.
down. I have it go into the shop
Right.
today. So I haul my trash with my son-in-law's used Volvo that his daughter has.
Yeah.
That doesn't have a dump sticker on it.
Right.
But I have a sticker on my truck, but I'm not gonna let, I would not be in a very good mood if someone were to tell me, well, you can't haul your trash in that car.
Right.
Right.
And by and large, that's probably not the person we're gonna have an issue with.
Right.
The person we're gonna have issue with
There's never
is
been-
already well-known.
Yeah.
There's
Just
four
like- yeah,
or
just
five or
like
six that
A little
refuse to.
judgment, a little reason.
Right.
Okay.
And the other thing is, I know that you have contacted the other transfer stations, so we're consistent, right?
Yes.
I remember when
We're actually probably, we're high enough to avoid people coming from other places to dump here because it's cheaper. But we're below what they are. And each commodity is a little bit different. TVs may be a little bit different, but they did come around, LRPC came around and had the current prices of it that everybody charges for TV disposal. And we were right about in the middle of the threat. But this is it's an edited version of the fee table. It does not change any fees, so no meeting is required. I just want to make that crystal clear. No fees have changed. The only thing that changed on the form is on the top, you must have a current transfer station sticker. The old one had the date, the year. We're just making a generic statement. You must have the current sticker to be able to dump it.
Could I make a suggestion, just put the effective date down here of this notice?
Okay. Okay.
That way it's a matter of record.
Yep. And on the right side, circled 3/4 of the way down, there is an edit. Trailers was $75. We weren't really specific, plus 50% for bulky loads. Trailers, $75 and up, depending upon the size of the trailer. You know, some people can come in with a small utility trailer, others come in with a dual axle haul trailer, and others come in with a car trailer, you know, with sides built up on it. So,
I will move that we approve the new transfer station fee schedule.
okay.
And I think that Lloyd's right, we ought to have at the bottom, it ought to say approved by Board of Selectmen and the date. And we ought to, on a regular basis, review, just like ordinances, because, you know, as you pointed out, this was specific to 2013, 2014 on the sticker that was the right number at that time. None of these costs have changed in the meantime, but the date obviously has been superseded.
Right.
All right, I'll second that motion.
Under discussion, can I ask Karen just to review the laws so that if we have to post it in 2 places or whatever, we do the perfunctory things we do?
Right, there was a comment sent in via email. I think it was email. And it was referenced one of our attendants. And the individual said he was threatened that if he didn't have a sticker on his car, he wouldn't be allowed to dump his. And I did not witness the incident or the discussion. I just heard about it later. And my immediate response after asking the individual involved, they couldn't remember exactly who it was because there was 3 or 4 people that basically when they said, "Do you have a new sticker?" You know, after you and plowed off. But my immediate response is no, it's not a threat. It was a warning so that you won't be embarrassed. And I repeat that, it is not a threat. It is a rule. The rules need to be followed. And it's not a threat. It's a warning so you won't be embarrassed when you are denied service at some point in time. And the selectmen have determined that that would be about mid-May. So we don't want to go there. We don't want to be the non-friendly place to do business because we've been pretty friendly, the way I think anyway. But that was not in any way, shape, or form a threat.
Well, I don't think, you know, ordering someone to be in compliance can never be construed as a threat.
Correct.
I
Exactly.
mean, the police don't threaten you with a speeding ticket.
Right.
They give you a speeding ticket or they don't.
Right.
You know, it's not, I think it's a poor use of terms.
Right. So.
I had a couple of comments. Adam Tasker in Wolfboro says that he's working on chipping brush.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten
Can we,
time.
just 2 seconds, can we vote on the motion?
Oh, sorry.
Any other comments on the motion?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
So just to confirm, am I finding out if the revised fee schedule needs to be posted in two separate places?
Here's what the RSA says. Prior to establishment or amendment of any fees, the selectmen shall hold a public hearing, notice of which shall be given at least 7 days in advance. So this fee schedule is, we're not changing the fees,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So,
Hadn't been changed since.
You're changing the
2012.
heading.
right.
We're making it a more generic form so it doesn't go out of date.
Right,
Right. So
we don't need a public.
we don't need a public hearing. Now, if we were gonna change the fees, then we do a public hearing. Correct. Okay. So I think we're good.
I'll leave that for the record.
Lloyd, you're still on.
Okay. Adam Task is working
Yeah,
on it.
I haven't got a chance because of the
It's
the incident we had.
The testing of the landfill, we signed the paperwork with Stantec.
Okay.
You know me, I read everything. I forget the page, I think it's 14. There's a new contact person, not Dave Allwine.
Okay, I'll have to look at that.
Okay? Just want you to be up. And a couple of us were at a Board of Selectmen's meeting with the surrounding towns.
Mhm.
And in Sandwich, Frederick Bickford is a contact person about closing landfills and the testing. He's a resident there and he works with that facility up there. Maybe a contact person for you.
Okay.
Okay? Other than that, nice job, thank you.
Must be the son of the Fred Bickford I bought logs from.
That name does have.
Yeah.
Go up here.
The logger mill. All right, anything else there, Clay?
No, I think that's it.
Oh, I have something from the town.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing.
Go ahead.
LRPC should have the, that was the last thing on your signage available next week from LRPC on the hazardous waste schedule.
Okay.
The last Saturday in July and the first Saturday of August are the two LRPC hosted, which are free up to 10 gallons. One's in Ospey and the other's in Moultonborough. And May through October, third Saturday of the month, from 8:30 to noon, our residents can go to Wolfboro, Beach Pond Road, just prior to the dump on the left. But they have to pay as you go, whatever they charge for hazardous waste items. I'm sorry.
I left a copy in your box. Recycling Still Rules is from the latest town in the city. If you guys want copies, they're here. There's one for the record. Come to find out, almost everything in there you've mentioned or briefed us.
Right.
So, the China issue and all that. Thank you.
Okay.
Great, thanks for coming in.
Okay.
I still owe you $5, but I'll get it to you somehow. All right, the next item on the agenda is the signature file. And the first item is a request from the from Selectmen to the Library Capital Reserve Fund and to the trustees of the trust fund for $6,500. That was for the geo testing. And pursuant to Article 4 of the 2018 meeting, voters voted to include expansion and renovations.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Guess we sign that. The next item is a request to the library from the trustees of the trust fund for reimbursement from the library capital reserve fund in the amount of $22,557, and that's to pay an architectural bid for the expansion and renovation.
So I'll move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the next item for signature is to expand the contract with James St. Jean to include the property owned by the town on Sandy Knoll Road to be included in the auction that's coming, land auction that's coming up in June, isn't it?
June 8th, I believe it is.
And has one signature.
So I'll move that the chairman sign the contract, revised contract.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just a special note, he wanted to just, so the part about no reserve and everything's the same for the,
Right.
yeah, okay.
All the same
That's the, yeah.
Yeah,
And
rules
the
apply.
both auctions will be held at, the 107 Union North property.
Okay. Next item is a yield tax levy on map and lot 6814 for $4,979.06.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Karen,
Yes,
do I need to sign this?
yes, it's, yeah, because it's, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I got a general question on businesses versus residential. Do you have like?
Remember that
a percentage of
Seinfeld
the
episode where
a map like you have,
goes to a restaurant and
Gas station there,
gets in his Porsche and parks it?
We have a zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling like all morning. Just think. Okay. And the signature file.
Yep.
Selectmen's updates. Anything?
I got a couple of items to mention. Home Days Committee is meeting at 6:30 tomorrow. Anybody that's interested in stepping up to participate in the planning for this year's Old Home Days. And the second thing
Is that here?
that's right here in this room. And, it's not gonna be, if somebody's concerned it's gonna be particularly long, typically they're a half hour or less. Just a matter of making sure we're hitting the milestones and bringing some additional ideas to the table and all that good stuff. So the other item I wanted to mention was I had a note from a local resident last week concerned about a portion of Barber Pole Road that was, the pavement was all broken up on. And he'd been in to talk with us last year about that, although he was talking about a window blow at the time.
Right.
Window blow is a town road up to the junction point. I took a ride out there and verified that where he is talking about is about the first 50, 75 feet on Barber Pole beyond where town maintenance ends. So I talked with him last week. He understands that not a town road. He remembers that it was paved at some point in the past by the town. But having talked to the current road agent and his predecessor, which takes us back about 20 years, neither one of them has done maintenance on that. So the people that live on Barber Pole, through this individual, now understand that it's their piece to work on and get it brought up to.
I was trying to remember from my youth, I think that got paved sometime in the 70s,
Barber Pole,
but not by the,
well,
I don't know if the
I'm
town-
sorry, Windleblow was deeded to the town in 1985
Mhm.
by the New Hampshire Society for Protection of Forest or whatever. At any rate, so yeah, the town accepted that road in 1985. Windleblow, right. Barber Pole has always been private.
Right, I just, I remember it became paved at some
Yeah.
point, but it was always private road.
Yeah.
They decided to pave it.
So that's all I have.
Anything from Lloyd?
Yes. Do we have a change of meeting dates coming up, Karen?
Yes, so you have one added on Friday, and then the 13th got changed to the 20th.
So
So are
13th,
we not meeting on the 13th?
Right.
no meeting,
Okay.
regular meeting. And there's one added the 15th?
20th.
10. Oh,
The
Oh,
13th goes to the
excuse me,
20th, and we have
13th
a
goes
work
to the 20th.
session on Friday.
yeah.
Yeah, the 10th we have a meeting.
So it's May 6th,
May 10th,
May 10th,
May
May
20th.
20th, and the holiday. Okay. On the master plan, any renegotiation?
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yes.
So, after LRPC finally recently found the extension agreement and signed it, I spoke with the director and he committed to having the final pieces in draft form available for a meeting last Thursday. But we had an email about 6 o'clock on Thursday saying, I'm sorry, we're not gonna have it for you, but we'll get it to you next week. So, the issue continues.
Thank you.
And the planning board did vote to suggest that we reduce the amount that we're gonna compensate them for the contract based upon tardy performance. And we'll see where that goes, but at any rate. So,
And there was no contractual provision that allows that.
no, that's right.
So
But
it's
they
in
had a
the-
contract saying they'd have it all to us by the date as well, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'll
That
stop,
works both ways.
I'll stop right now. Anything you want to
Yes.
share with the board?
I have a question for you. You were dealing with the gentleman from the boat tech
Yes.
about fixing the bird platform? What came of that?
They're not going to be able to do it this year.
Okay, because it has to get repaired, so.
Yes.
So I'll have to find somebody, okay?
Okay.
Just- I don't know enough time, but I'll find somebody.
Thank you.
Okay.
I noticed that if today's the 6th, the highway road agent's not here, and I expected him to be here. When will he come again?
I think we had a discussion about having them that quickly after we had them last
Okay.
week.
Right.
Right, yeah, that's, so I didn't schedule on it.
So the 20th?
Probably
probably?
on the 20th, yeah.
Okay. I mean, we kind of gotta let him get something done before we have him come.
And I didn't realize it's busy. It's just,
Yeah. Keep working.
That's it for me.
Okay. Any other public comment? No, our public's not commenting?
Not today. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna move that we adjourn.
Oh, you still have correspondence.
Oh, Jesus, right. I do.
They tried.
A little bird told us.
All
Thank you for
right,
keeping
I'm gonna
us
blow
honest.
through this in a heartbeat. The public is being invited, as are the selectmen, to a discussion about education funding, which we heard about this morning. And I could go on and on about the ridiculousness of that particular position, but I won't. And it's going to be on May 8th at 7 p.m. at the Great Hall of Wolfboro. John Tobin, Claremont attorney, and Andrew Valinsky, executive counselor. So it should be and I think Edie Damaris is chairing that. John McDonald.
Excuse me, I didn't hear you. Did any of you want to go to that? Or? I just need to post it if more than one of you are going.
I will, I'm gonna try and attend.
Okay.
I have a conflict.
So why don't you post it, because I'm going to try to be there as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
We have had another, or a request for information about the 19 Mile Bay Beach project. And I sent the information off to Rustic Stone and Garden Design.
We have a couple bidders going, actually, 3 altogether, I think, that want to bid on it.
Okay.
And where there were no results when you put the original bid out, I didn't know if you want, now that these people are working on it, do you want to say,
By such and such a date.
yes, I just didn't know if you
I guess we
wanted
need to talk to Jim Rhines. I'll give Jim a call this morning
Okay.
and see if we can come up with a date. We're meeting again on Friday.
Yep.
So if we have to establish a date, we'll do it
Okay.
then. Town roads are unposted. This library's annual student art exhibit is Friday, May 10th from 4:30 to 6.
Anybody going to that?
I don't have a library card. No.
No one, okay.
Well, Bill might because his wife works there.
Yeah, but we're, I don't know that we get another commission on Friday, so maybe not.
So the report on the Durgan Road catch basin, which is the junction of Durgan Road and 171. There are plans afoot, and the state is going to do, or the town is going to do the cutting, and the state will do the build-up. And hopefully we'll get a time frame from our road agent when we next see him on the 20th.
That was my request. One of the things I'm concerned with is there's standing water along what I call the Dow property. And there's, I don't know how you people feel, but I think there needs to be some remedial work along that
There's
ditch.
standing water along a lot of roads.
Yeah, it's pretty wet out there.
It's,
I-
I guess where you're going is when they reset the catch basin, when they do the repavement,
Can it be functional?
can it be sloped so that it doesn't retain the water in the wrong place? Yeah.
We also received a spreadsheet from Lakes Region Planning Commission vis-a-vis our paving study. So we'll share this and go over it with the road agent when he comes in on the 20th. I think if I keep saying that, maybe he'll show up on the 20th. And last is a letter from Phil Bennett, who was one of the architects involved in the
Oh,
police station, is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know what it's.
He's coming to meet with us on Friday, right?
yeah, he's just
Oh.
confirming, yep.
Right, he's waiting for I'm trying to figure out what CM stands for.
Oh,
The construction manager is gonna respond with some cost estimates.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna be here Friday the 10th at 9:30. I think I'm done now.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience.